welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things, and today I am giving you my December wrap-up. December was a bit of a shitty month, and while I did manage to read 15 books, I didn't have a good time. It is a wonder that I even finished the books that I had set aside. I did not complete Clear Your Shit. I failed my own readathon, so it's been a bit of a time here, so you know, it is what it is. But let's go ahead and get into the stats and we can wrap up December, and then I will be posting, I think, I'll be posting my top and bottom books, so next week and the week after, and then I will be posting my end of the year wrap up. So if you really like stats, that is the video definitely to look out for. But let's go ahead and get into December's stats. I read a total of 15 books, like I said, which was 3,212 pages read, 89 hours and 49 minutes listened, which is the equivalent of 3 days, 17 hours and 48 minutes. I had an average rating of a 3.5, which aligns with the fact that I wasn't enjoying a lot of reading. I read a total of 157, not a total, I read an average of 157 pages per day, and I listened for an average of 7 hours and 58 minutes per day. I also had a total of 3 rereads, which is not a whole lot for me. Usually I reread a whole lot more than that. Of those books, 6 of them were audiobooks and 4 of them were ebooks, and also 5 of them were physical books. So again, kind of a skewed number. Normally my physical books is the lowest number on this list. I read 10 adult books and 5 young adult books, which, as my goal for the year was to read more adult than young adult, I really did complete that goal, especially in December, where over half of the books, well, not over half, I don't know, the majority at 75% of the books that I read in December were adult books, and I enjoyed it. I've been having a lot more fun reading adult books than young adult books, but I've talked about that many a time. For book pages, I read 1 book between the pages of 101 and 200 pages, 1 book between 201 and 300 pages, 4 books between 301 and 400 pages, and 3 books between 401 and 500 pages. I read 1 sci-fi, 6 fantasy, 1 historical, 3 thrillers, 2 horror, 1 nonfiction, and 1 contemporary book. And that's kind of just the gist of the stats there. I am not going to do top 5 books because of, that would be, you know, a large chunk of the complete book, like the amount of books I read. I'm not even going to do top 3 because, again, I didn't read that many, and so it's a little bit hard to break them down that way. I will tell you the top book that I read this month, which was This Vicious Grace by Emily Thiede. I do have the Barnes & Noble special edition, or whatever it is. I think that's what this is, or maybe the book just looks like this. I think it's beautiful. I enjoyed this book a lot. I think that its only downfall was that while I enjoyed the romance, the kind of way that it ended was frustrating. Actually, the way that it ended was this book could have been completed, like it could have been a finished book, one standalone book, but then it clearly leaves an open-ended ending for it to now be a series, and I have a big grievance with that. I don't enjoy that in books. I think that you are allowed to have a standalone and should have a standalone, and this book could have been a standalone, but now you've like created a new problem that a new book can be written off of, and I don't know if I will read it. However, the writing and prose in this was really beautiful, and the conversations around physical touch and the need for it and the want for it for different people, the way that the magic worked in this book, it was all really, really interesting, and the finding of one's self I felt like was done really well. I had a lot of fun reading this book. I've tabbed it up heavily from the tabs that I got, there it goes, from Girl in Red. Girl in Red does a bunch of like book annotating stuff, and so I have been enjoying using her tabs for things. That's also how I've been marking things like the 25% mark, 50% mark, etc. Hold on, so now I use these little corner tabs for that, which is really cool because if it's a book that I'm planning on keeping, then I can just mark those sections, and that's how I plan my reading, is by 25%, 50%, 75% completion, so that if anything, the book will only take me 4 days to read if it's visual only. And I did read this visually only, which was kind of surprising because I didn't have a whole lot of spoons for that this year, or the last month. But it was definitely one of my top books this month, and I enjoyed it a lot. I am really glad that I picked it up on a whim. It was one of the few books, it's kind of hard being a book reviewer for me to go to a bookstore and find a bunch of books that I've never seen before. I usually have to go to like a used bookstore or a bookstore that specializes in like wholesale or just like not a big box bookstore like Barnes & Noble. I basically have to go to like obscure secondhand shops to find books that I've literally never heard of. And this one is like a bestseller though, and I don't know how it's literally never come across my radar, because this type of magic, this type of story is all of the things that I enjoy, so I don't really know how it never came across my radar, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm really glad that I picked it up completely on a whim. For the worst book that I read this month, that is going to be, I think Phaedra? Or was that last month? When did I finish Phaedra? Hold on. The benefit of having just done my top and bottom books of the month is that I have them all written on note cards, so I can just look through them and see. Oh, no, it wasn't Phaedra. Phaedra was last month. So, the worst book of the month was The Atlas Paradox. And I loved The Atlas 6. Like, I fucking loved The Atlas 6. I thought The Atlas 6 was a fantastic book. The Atlas Paradox suffered so badly from sequel syndrome that I struggled to even really tell you what the book was about, because there was a lot of like romance that was super not relevant and unnecessary and boring to me. I felt like, yes, there's sex and stuff, and there was sex and stuff in the previous books, but this was just like unnecessary and got on my nerves. And honestly, Libby is like kind of my least favorite character, and she's like the main focus in the Atlas Paradox, and lame, boring. I don't like Libby as a character. I did not like her as a character in the first book that much. I did not like her in the second book that much, and she's the one who takes the focus. So if you also didn't like Libby, then you probably won't like the Atlas Paradox. I like characters who are morally gray and horrible, and the thing about Libby is that she is a goody fucking two-shoes, and I think that it's annoying. It's this come to God moment for her where she realizes that she's gonna have to make a terrible decision that could injure people and then ruin lives. And that's so hard of a decision for her to make. And I'm sorry, I just think that it's foolishness to assume that somebody her age would struggle that much with that kind of problem. I just don't believe it, honestly. Especially, no offense, but especially somebody with her intelligence level and who works in the science field. I just don't think that you get that far in that field without having made some questionable decisions. And maybe it's because I'm not a scientist and I don't know how all of that works, but I just really, really don't believe that she made it that far without ever having to make a really hard decision. A morally gray decision. And the goody two-shoes-ness of Libby in the first book was annoying to me, and it's even more annoying in the second book. And like the main characters even talk about how she was like their moral compass, and without her it's harder to make sure they're making the right decision. Shut the fuck up! You're all adults. You're all adults. You actually have your own moral compass. And so like, oh, Libby would always think about all of the different people that it affected. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. I don't care. It was so... I'm realizing now how much I really did not enjoy that book. When I put it on, like, I rated it 3 stars and now I'm reconsidering. Was it a badly written book? No. But because I did not like Libby in the first book, reading about her as the main focus in the second book made me bored. It made me bored. I did not give a fuck about what happened to her. I did not care about her moral conflict. I did not care about this decision. And honestly, the book read more like a young adult than an adult book versus Atlas 6 that I was like, wow, this really feels like 9th house level. Like I feel like this is new adult in a way that I am enjoying. It's kind of easy to follow, but definitely is adult level of complexity and with adult characters who act like adults. But then when I read the Atlas Paradox, I was like, cool, so we're a young adult book now? Which is like the opposite of like one of my least favorite books, The Wicked Kingdom or whatever, Kingdom of the Cursed or whatever the fuck it's called, where they went from young adult to adult and new adult to adult so that they could branch into erotica. And this is the opposite of that. This is literally the opposite of that. They like made it so much less like dark and sexy and racy and like about like taking down the system and about like learning the secrets of the like dark academia, learning the secrets of whatever. They like took all of that away and were like, let's focus on Libby and how she's such a good person. Let's do that. Yeah, no, it was awful. I did not have a good time reading it. Ugh. I think I deleted it from my memory. I think that's why I keep forgetting that I read it in December and did not have a good time. Also, I read it like on Christmas Day, so you know. Anyway, that's my wrap up for December. This is a very short and sweet video. I recognize that it's a short and sweet video, but I should have my... No, I already said this. I was going to talk about how my end of the year wrap up is going to be in a couple of weeks, but I already said that. So if you enjoy the stats parts of my videos, that video is going to be very heavily stats focused. If you enjoy me talking about my top and bottom books, those are coming next week and the week after. So it's fun for everyone who has different things that they enjoy. I'm going to close out the video here though. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have thoughts about my top and bottom book, please let me know in the comments down below. If you read something really cool this year and you want to tell me about it, I would love to hear about it. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. If you didn't like this video, I'm sorry. I post videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I used to say every week, but that hasn't been the case lately, so yeah. I will see you guys next week though. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Okay, thanks, bye.